What if the peaceful farm you've tended for decades suddenly became fair game for your neighbor's power-hungry HOA empire? What if a single piece of paper nailed to your gate could summon fake lawmen ready to evict you over made-up rules? And what if the only way to beat them was to let their own arrogance hand you the handcuffs? It all started with a single nail, pinning a bright red violation notice to my front gate like some kind of suburban declaration of war. The paper fluttered in the Georgia breeze, listing violations that would make any sane person laugh. Unauthorized agricultural aesthetic, livestock noise pollution disrupting neighborhood harmony, and my personal favorite, failure to maintain proper community vibe compliance. The fine? A cool $5,200. Deadline: 3 days, or enforcement action will be initiated. Signed in perfect cursive by Karen Langley, president of the Emerald Pines Homeowners Association. Problem was, I don't live in Emerald Pines. I live on 20 acres of family orchard right next door. My apple trees and my small herd of goats have been here for decades. But apparently Karen had decided the HOA's invisible borders were flexible, kind of like her interpretation of the law. For months before this, she'd been painting me as the neighborhood villain, the uncooperative hermit, who skipped her potlucks and refused to paint my barn approved beige. Rumors flew that my goats were lowering property values and my orchard was a visual eyesore. I stayed quiet, figuring silence was smarter than feeding her drama. Big mistake. I pulled the notice down and chuckled at first. Another crazy flyer, right? Until 30 minutes later, when a pair of blacked-out SUVs rolled up my long gravel driveway. Out stepped 2 men in matching khaki tactical vests emblazoned with Emerald Pines Compliance Division in cheap iron-on letters. One clutched a clipboard like it was Excalibur. The other had his hand resting way too close to a holster that probably held nothing but a water pistol and dreams of authority. "Sir," clipboard guy announced with that fake official tone, "we're here for a mandatory perimeter inspection under HOA Emergency Protocol 17B. I just stared, letting the silence stretch. "You got a warrant from an actual court?" He smiled the smile of someone who thinks clipboards beat the Constitution. Municipal covenant extensions authorize visual verification without prior consent in cases of suspected code decay. Code decay, I repeated slowly, tasting the stupidity. My goats are out here living their best life, and suddenly my farm is a public health hazard. The second guy shifted, trying to look intimidating. That's when I noticed the laminated fake badges hanging from their necks, printed at home, crooked edges and all. I pulled out my phone and started filming openly. "Gentlemen, you're on private property. Unless you're real law enforcement, this is trespassing." They exchanged looks. "It's," clipboard guy said. "This will be escalated." "Please do," I replied with a grin. I love a good paper trail. So much cleaner. As they drove off, I posted the video to the local community board with the caption, "Emerald Pines HOA now running their own private security cosplay? Blackwater for backyard busybodies." The comments exploded immediately. One showed up at my place last month demanding I repaint my mailbox beige approved only. Another added, "Karen's not running an HOA, she's building a little kingdom." Old man Jenkins down the road chimed in. "Told y'all years ago, this ain't a neighborhood group. It's a damn cult with better landscaping." I was still laughing when my phone rang. The voice on the other end was all honey and steel, Karen Langley herself. "Mister, I see you've received our formal notice. We just want what's best for property values in the greater area." "You mean the notice you illegally nailed to my gate?" I asked. Nailed is such an ugly word. Displayed for resident awareness. And the borders have been updated per our recent vote. Funny, I don't remember getting an invitation to that meeting. Only for Emerald Pines residents, dear. But don't worry, you're included now. The click that followed wasn't just a phone hanging up. It was the sound of the first shot in a war I never asked for, but one I was damn well going to finish. That night, I spotted orange survey flags marching across the edge of my north orchard like little plastic soldiers claiming territory. My goats were already chewing 2 of them into confetti. I yanked one out, coordinates scribbled in Sharpie. They weren't bluffing. And for takeover. Next morning, I drove to the county office to file a complaint for impersonation of law enforcement. The clerk raised an eyebrow. "We've had 11 of these this year. Just paid the fine and moved on," she said. But I'm not most folks. Call Sheriff Ryan Brooks, my own brother. I called him that night. Described the cosplay cops. He went quiet, then admitted, "You're not the first, Ethan. But this time it's different. People. She's annexing land." He couldn't say more over the phone, but the message was clear. This was bigger than one overreaching HOA president. It was a coordinated land grab wrapped in beige bureaucracy. 2 weeks later, it escalated exactly as he'd feared. At 6:42 a.m., while I was pouring coffee and watching my goats headbutt over breakfast, a megaphone blared outside. "This is the Emerald Pines Compliance Division. Step outside immediately." I stepped onto the porch in my "Fence Me In, I Dare You" t-shirt and saw 4 black trucks idling at my gate. No plates, just stenciled numbers. 6 people in full khaki tactical gear climbed out, steel-toe boots, radios, 1 guy with a drone remote. Then Karen herself emerged from the lead truck, clipboard in one hand, sunglasses perched like a crown, windbreaker probably costing more than my tractor. "Good morning, Mr. Smiling like this was a PDA meeting. "We're here to initiate Phase 2 of your compliance review." I sipped my coffee. "Lost in the mail?" "You received proper notice. We are now authorized to inspect and seize any structure in breach." "Which code exactly?" "Our extended covenant, Article C, ratified last quarter." "Funny, because there is no such article." She turned to her goons and nodded. One launched the drone. Fence line like he was in a war zone. I stepped off the porch, one hand in my pocket, calm as Sunday. They froze. "Sir, please don't interfere," one barked. "Why?" "Planning to arrest me for walking on my own land." Karen's smile tightened. "Or escalate." I laughed. Rental troopers and a drone to inspect a barn that's been standing 30 years. "My goats were born here." Proved. "Want to see paperwork?" "We'll determine validity ourselves." "No, you won't." She waved 2 forward. Or I whistled. My goats, chaos incarnate, charged like tiny battering rams. One fake cop tripped backward into a fresh manure pile. Karen's phone came up, recording. From non-compliant residents. I smiled straight into her lens. This footage is going to look real nice under subpoena. Before she could retort, a marked sheriff's cruiser rolled up. My brother Ryan stepped out, calm and fully legit. "Everything all right here?" Karen spun. "An HOA enforcement operation." "Stand down." Ryan cocked an eyebrow. "Me. Did you invite these folks?" "Nope." "Consent to inspection?" "Not a chance." "Then they're trespassing." He faced Karen. "Ma'am, you and your unit vacate immediately." "That drone? Illegal over private AG land without clearance." Karen's eye twitched. "This is the law," Ryan said. As they backed off in formation, Karen leaned in close enough for only me to hear. "I hope your daughter Emily enjoys applying for those college scholarships from an off-grid property riddled with violations." My blood ran cold. To twist the knife, my kid's future. But I didn't flinch. Already planning how their little empire would crumble. The sabotage started small, the kind of things you almost brush off on a working farm. Tools moved overnight. Enough for my prize goat Maggie to wander into the road, chewing a survey flag like it owed her money. Then the power cut out, twice. Always right when my barn cameras were uploading footage to the cloud. No storm, no reported outages. Just convenient blackouts. The final straw came on a clear night when the pasture fence shorted clean through. No animal bites, no rust, just a deliberate slice across the copper. Someone wasn't breaking in. I checked the logs. Every glitch happened during shifts covered by my new hire, Riley. Tall, soft-spoken, Came recommended from a neighboring property. Always on time, never talked much. But lately he'd been asking weird questions. Where's the backup generator? Ever thought about solar redundancy? Helpful. Until I noticed him walking around with his phone at chest height, camera pointed up toward the barn loft where I kept the safe. I tested him. Decoy binder in an unlocked shed labeled Property Transfer Options, Confidential. Filled it with blank paper. 3 days later it vanished. I waited. At 11:17 p.m. Motion. There he was on the live feed. Hoodie up, flashlight in one hand, black messenger bag over his shoulder, heading straight for the barn. I met him at the door with my phone recording and my brother Ryan waiting in the shadows. Looking for something, Riley? He froze. Explain. Save it. You on camera stealing documents. Karen paid you to sabotage my place so she could claim the land for community use, right? Just like the last 3 families who mysteriously donated their property after your little accidents. Riley's face crumpled. Karen's full scheme, forged votes, fake emergency protocols, insider sabotage to force voluntary transfers. She wasn't enforcing rules. 1 stolen acre at a time. I handed the recordings to Ryan. Now we wait for her next move. It came 2 days later. Urgency compliance action on the community board, claiming my ongoing violations required immediate seizure of equipment. Same black trucks rolled in at dawn, same khaki crew, same smug Karen leading the charge with her megaphone. This time I was ready. Hidden cams rolled. Deputies positioned just out of sight. Karen stepped forward. Folks, this is your final warning. Step aside or face full enforcement. I crossed my arms. Force away. Her crew moved. Tractor. That's when Ryan and 3 marked cruisers lit up the driveway like the 4th of July. Hands up. This is the sheriff's department. You're all under arrest for impersonation of public officials, criminal trespass, conspiracy to commit fraud, and extortion. Karen's clipboard dropped. Ending. We're the compliance division. Ryan smiled. Your homemade badges and forged covenants? We've got hours of footage showing exactly who you really are. 1 fake cop tripped trying to run, straight into a fresh pile of goat manure. The rest went down easy. Perfect, polished mask, cracked into pure panic as the cuffs clicked. You can't do this. I'm the president. Not anymore, I said quietly. The videos hit the community board before lunch. By evening they were viral. HOA dissolved in a special vote. Karen faced real charges. Land back. My farm stayed mine. Extra hay. In the end, the real lesson here is simple. Never let a clipboard queen play God with your life. Stay quiet long enough to gather the truth, then let their own rules bury them. Power only wins when you let it. Everything, and enjoy the sweetest sound in the world, the click of handcuffs on the people who thought they were untouchable.